In life, there's a profound truth that many of us forget. Boundaries are not just guidelines, but sacred lines that protect the essence of who we are. When we fail to honor those boundaries, we run the risk of not only hurting ourselves, but also damaging the very relationships that we hold dear. Boundaries are essential in every area of life, be it personal, professional, or spiritual. Without them, there is chaos, confusion, and a breakdown in trust. We live in a world where people are constantly pushing, pulling, and striving to get what they want, often disregarding the boundaries of others. People may pressure you to do things you're uncomfortable with, make demands that go beyond what is healthy, or expect you to sacrifice your peace for their benefit. What happens when we allow this to happen is that we create an environment where manipulation and resentment take root. When you force yourself on someone, you're not just crossing their boundaries, you're saying to them that their feelings, their needs, and their desires don't matter. You're telling them that their space, their time, and their peace of mind aren't as important as your own wants or needs. And here's the thing, no relationship, whether it's a friendship, family dynamic, or romantic connection, can thrive on that kind of foundation. Think about it. If you've ever felt someone overstepping your boundaries, whether through constant calls, unsolicited advice, or demands for your time and attention, you know how draining it can be. It feels suffocating. It feels like someone is taking up too much space in your life and not giving you room to breathe. In those moments, the connection doesn't feel mutual. It feels like an obligation. And when obligations replace genuine desire, relationships wither. Now, on the flip side, consider how it feels when someone respects your boundaries. When they honor your need for space, for time to think, or for moments of silence, you feel seen and understood. There's a sense of peace that comes from being able to stand firm in your own space without someone trying to invade it. It's freeing. You don't feel obligated, you feel appreciated. That's what happens when boundaries are respected. Relationships become stronger, more authentic, and more balanced. It becomes a two-way street where both people can thrive in their own individuality while still supporting each other. This is why respecting boundaries is not just about personal space. It's about honoring the human dignity of others. It's a recognition that every individual is unique, with their own needs, limits, and desires. And those limits are just as valid as your own. When you understand that someone else's boundaries are just as important as your own, you begin to operate from a place of mutual respect. You don't force your presence upon them. Instead, you give them the freedom to choose, to decide when and how they engage with you. This is the foundation for true connection. But here's where it gets tricky. The temptation to push past boundaries. In a world that often values assertiveness and boldness, there can be pressure to be more persistent, to push harder, to not take no for an answer. The belief is that if you want something badly enough, you should go after it, no matter the cost. But this mindset, though it may seem empowering on the surface, is rooted in insecurity and a lack of self-awareness. It's driven by the fear of rejection, the fear of being unseen, or the fear of failure. Here's the truth. Respecting boundaries isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It shows that you are confident enough in who you are to let people come to you when they are ready. It shows that you don't need to force anything, because you know that what is meant for you will find you. You trust that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right relationships will come at the right time. When you are comfortable with yourself and your purpose, there's no need to chase after people, to invade their lives, or to try to win them over with persistence. Boundaries also serve as a safeguard for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. They prevent burnout. They protect you from becoming a people pleaser, someone who is always giving without receiving, always serving without being cared for. A life lived without boundaries is a life that is constantly drained by the demands of others. You give, give, and give until there's nothing left for yourself, And that is where resentment grows, where bitterness takes root. You start to feel like you're being taken advantage of, and the very people you're trying to please become a source of your pain. But when you set boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're being wise. You are saying, I value myself enough to take care of my own needs. You are telling others, I am not responsible for your happiness, your peace, or your well-being. I can support you, I can love you, but I cannot sacrifice myself for you. In a healthy relationship, the idea is not for one person to always give while the other takes. It's a partnership. It's about mutual respect and understanding. It's about recognizing that, just as you have needs and desires, so does the other person. When you both honor each other's boundaries, you create space for growth, for deeper connection, and for healthier exchanges. So, when you feel that urge to push, to force yourself into someone's life, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, am I respecting their space? Am I acknowledging their needs and boundaries? If the answer is no, then take a step back. Re-evaluate the situation. Recognize that forcing yourself on others will never lead to the kind of meaningful connection you seek. Instead, allow the relationship to unfold naturally, with respect and understanding. In the end, it is when you respect the boundaries of others that you allow for the true beauty of relationships to emerge. You honor yourself, you honor them, and you allow space for both of you to grow. Knowing your worth is one of the most powerful steps you can take in your journey toward personal growth and fulfillment. It's not just about having confidence. It's about understanding that your value doesn't come from what others think of you or how they treat you. It comes from the very essence of who you are. When you truly recognize your worth, it shifts the way you interact with the world. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself, and you stop seeking external validation to feel whole. The world constantly bombards us with messages about who we should be, what we should look like, what success should look like, and what makes us worthy of love and respect. These external pressures can easily shape our self-perception, especially if we don't have a strong foundation of self-awareness. We begin to measure ourselves by the standards of others, and that's where we lose sight of our true value. The danger in this is that we become dependent on other people's opinions to determine our self-worth. This is a fragile and fleeting foundation to build a life upon, because people's opinions are constantly changing. One day, they may praise you, and the next, they may criticize you. If you base your sense of value on the praise or rejection of others, you're allowing their ever-changing emotions to dictate how you feel about yourself. When you truly know your worth, you stop letting outside forces control your self-image. You stop trying to fit into the mold that others have created for you. Instead, you start to operate from a place of deep inner knowing. You understand that your value is intrinsic, not extrinsic. It's not based on how much you can accomplish or how much you can give to others, but on who you are at the core. You are worthy because you exist. Your worth is not tied to your job title, your possessions, or even your accomplishments. It's rooted in the simple truth that you were created with purpose and intention. The beauty of knowing your worth is that it allows you to stop seeking approval from others. You don't need to constantly measure yourself against the expectations of society or the opinions of your peers. When you understand your value, you stop chasing after validation. You no longer need to prove yourself or work to earn love, respect, or acceptance. You stand firm in the knowledge that you deserve those things simply by being yourself. You don't have to bend over backward to please others, and you don't need to perform for anyone's approval. You are already enough. This understanding also helps you make better decisions. When you know your worth, you are more selective about who you allow into your life and how you let them treat you. You stop settling for relationships, jobs, or situations that don't align with your values and what you know you deserve. You set higher standards because you no longer feel the need to settle for less than you are worth. Whether it's in personal relationships or professional ones, when you understand your value, you stop accepting mistreatment. You stop tolerating people who drain you, manipulate you, or use you for their own gain. You recognize that you deserve to be treated with respect, kindness, and love, and you don't allow anyone to take that away from you. Knowing your worth also means embracing your unique gifts and talents. Everyone has something valuable to offer the world, and when you know your worth, you recognize and embrace your gifts. You understand that your contribution to the world matters, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. You don't need to compare your journey to someone else's because your path is uniquely yours. Your gifts, your strengths, and your perspective are what make you irreplaceable. They are part of the fabric of who you are, and they have a purpose in the world. By acknowledging your worth, you give yourself permission to step into the fullness of your potential. This awareness also frees you from the burden of seeking perfection. When you know your worth, you understand that you don't have to be perfect to be valuable. You're allowed to make mistakes, to grow, and to evolve. Your value isn't contingent upon being flawless. In fact, it's often in our imperfections that we find our greatest strength and authenticity. Knowing your worth means accepting yourself fully, flaws, mistakes, and all. It means recognizing that you are a work in progress, and that's perfectly okay. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. Furthermore, when you know your worth, you become less influenced by rejection. Everyone faces rejection at some point in life, whether it's in relationships, career pursuits, or personal endeavors. But when you understand your value, you don't take rejection personally. You don't allow it to diminish your self-esteem. Rejection doesn't define you, and it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It simply means that something, or someone, isn't the right fit for you. Your worth is not diminished by someone else's inability to recognize it. The key to knowing your worth is self-reflection. It's about taking the time to understand who you are, what you stand for, and what you bring to the table. It's about tapping into the deep well of self, love, and self-respect that resides within you. When you do this, you begin to see yourself as God sees you, flawed yet magnificent, strong yet tender, capable yet still growing. You begin to realize that you were created for greatness, and that your worth is not up for debate. Finally, knowing your worth is the key to living a life of purpose. When you understand your value, you stop wasting time on things that don't align with your purpose. You stop chasing after things that won't fulfill you, and you start focusing on what truly matters. Your worth becomes the compass that guides your decisions, relationships, and actions. You align yourself with your true purpose, and in doing so, you live a life that is full of meaning and fulfillment. There is something profoundly powerful about authenticity. It's the key that unlocks genuine connections, true self-expression, and personal fulfillment. In a world full of expectations and superficial standards, being authentic is not just a choice, it's a necessity. Authenticity is about embracing who you truly are, without the need for masks, pretenses, or facades. It is when you let go of the need to impress, to fit into someone else's mold, and simply show up as yourself that you truly shine. We often live in a world where there's pressure to conform. Society, social media, our families, and even our friends can sometimes set standards for us to live up to, and it's easy to get caught up in this whirlwind of expectations. We find ourselves wearing different faces depending on the situation, adjusting our personality to fit in, or molding ourselves to please others. We look around and see the successes of those around us, how they present themselves, what they wear, what they drive, and we feel the need to measure up to those standards. But here's the problem. When you live for the approval of others, you lose sight of your true self. You begin to shape your identity based on external validation, and that's a dangerous path. When you live authentically, you free yourself from the constant pressure of having to be something or someone you're not. Authenticity comes from a place of self-acceptance, of knowing that you don't have to be perfect or fit a particular mold in order to be valuable. You are already enough. When you live authentically, you stop trying to be everything to everyone. You no longer feel the need to perform for others. Instead, you are simply present as your true self, and that, in itself, is more than enough. The power of authenticity is that it allows you to show up as you are, flaws, quirks, strengths, and all. It's not about hiding the parts of yourself that you think aren't good enough. No, authenticity is about embracing every aspect of who you are, even the parts that might seem messy or imperfect. It's about owning your journey and not apologizing for the things that make you unique. When you embrace your authentic self, you stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You step into your power, your uniqueness, and you stand tall, knowing that you have something special to offer that no one else can. One of the most liberating aspects of authenticity is that it draws people to you. Genuine connections are based on truth, not pretension. When you are true to yourself, you attract the people who are aligned with who you really are. These are the people who will love you for your true essence, not for a version of yourself that you've created to meet someone else's expectations. The relationships you form from a place of authenticity are deeper, stronger, and more fulfilling. They are not based on superficial appearances or a false narrative, but on real, raw connection. When you stop pretending to be someone else, you invite others to do the same, and this creates a space of mutual respect and honesty. In contrast, when you're not authentic, there's always a sense of disconnection. You may find yourself constantly trying to keep up with a persona you've created, always worrying about how you're being perceived, always wondering if you're saying or doing the right thing. This not only drains your energy, but it also prevents you from connecting with others in a meaningful way. You are caught in a cycle of performance, trying to live up to an image that isn't truly you. The longer you live this way, the more you lose touch with who you really are. You begin to feel empty inside, like you're just going through the motions without any real connection to yourself or others. Being authentic also means being vulnerable. It's about letting people see the parts of you that you may have kept hidden, your fears, your mistakes, your struggles. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness in our society, but it is actually a profound strength. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give others permission to do the same. You create an environment where people can open up, share their stories, and build deeper connections. Authenticity and vulnerability go hand in hand, and it's through this openness that we form the most meaningful relationships in our lives. Another powerful aspect of authenticity is that it brings clarity to your life's purpose. When you are true to yourself, you become more aligned with what you truly want in life. You stop chasing after things that don't resonate with your soul. Instead, you focus on the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. You make decisions based on your values and desires, not based on what others expect or what's popular at the moment. You begin to understand what truly matters to you, and you move forward in your life with confidence and direction. Living authentically also helps you to stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is one of the biggest thieves of peace. It steals your joy and creates feelings of inadequacy. When you're constantly measuring yourself against someone else's success, beauty, or lifestyle, you forget that your journey is unique. No one else has your experiences, your perspective, your voice. When you embrace your authenticity, you stop competing and start celebrating your own unique journey. You understand that your path is yours alone, and that's something to be proud of. The world is a much richer place when we all embrace our authenticity. When we show up as ourselves, unapologetically, confidently, and with integrity, we give others the permission to do the same. It creates a ripple effect, inspiring those around us to embrace their true selves as well. It's in this collective authenticity that we find true connection, real community, and lasting fulfillment. So, I encourage you to stop hiding, stop pretending, stop trying to be someone you're not in order to fit in or please others. The world needs you, your real, unfiltered self. When you show up authentically, you will not only change your own life, but you will also inspire others to step into their own power and embrace their unique selves. Let go of the need for approval and trust that being true to who you are is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself and for the world around you. When you stop forcing yourself on people, it's crucial to understand that not everyone is meant to be part of your journey. There's a powerful freedom that comes from accepting that not every relationship, every connection, or every interaction is for you. The idea of forcing yourself on people comes from a place of insecurity, fear, or desperation. It's rooted in the belief that your value is only validated by others accepting you. But when you stop trying to force yourself into others' lives, you open up space for relationships that are based on mutual respect and genuine connection, rather than obligation or manipulation. You see, each person you encounter in life has their own path, their own struggles, their own journey. Not everyone you meet is going to understand you, resonate with you, or even be in a place where they can welcome you into their lives. That's okay. It's important to acknowledge that, and by doing so, you give yourself the freedom to stop chasing after people who are not aligned with where you're going or who you are at your core. Sometimes we waste so much energy trying to convince others to see our worth, to love us, or to understand us. But forcing yourself into someone's life doesn't create the kind of bond that is built on mutual love and respect. It creates an artificial connection, one that is fragile and often one-sided. By recognizing that not everyone is meant to be in your life, you also release the weight of feeling rejected or unworthy when someone chooses not to engage with you in the way you expect. It's a liberating realization because you begin to understand that your value is not determined by someone else's acknowledgement or acceptance. You don't need validation from others to prove that you are worthy of love, respect, or companionship. Your worth is intrinsic, and it's independent of how others perceive you. This allows you to approach relationships with a sense of freedom rather than desperation. There is a profound peace that comes when you let go of the need to force yourself into places or people that don't align with your truth. Relationships, whether they're personal, professional, or social, should come naturally. They should be born from mutual respect, shared values, and a desire to grow together. If you're constantly forcing yourself into situations or relationships where your presence is not genuinely welcomed or reciprocated, it can lead to frustration, resentment, and exhaustion. The constant pressure of trying to make something work can wear you down emotionally and mentally. By embracing the idea that some people are just not meant for your life, you also become more intentional about who you choose to spend your time and energy with. You no longer feel the need to spread yourself thin, trying to fit into every social circle or accommodate every person's expectations. Instead, you begin to curate your circle, choosing to invest your time and energy in relationships that bring out the best in you, that are uplifting and supportive, and that encourage mutual growth and understanding. This allows you to focus on the quality of your relationships rather than the quantity, which ultimately leads to more fulfilling connections. Furthermore, when you stop forcing yourself on others, you start to recognize the importance of boundaries, not just for others, but for yourself. Boundaries are not just limits that protect you from being overwhelmed or overburdened. They are also a way of protecting your energy, your peace of mind, and your emotional well-being. When you allow others to decide for themselves how much they want to engage with you, and when you stop pushing for more than what they are willing to offer, you create a healthy dynamic where both parties have the space to give freely without feeling coerced or obligated. This also teaches you the power of patience. Relationships that are meant to be in your life will unfold in their own time. Forcing a connection before its time can lead to an imbalance in the relationship. It's like trying to rush a flower to bloom. If it's not yet ready, no amount of pushing will make it bloom faster. The same goes for people. When you stop forcing yourself into someone's life, you allow space for them to come to you naturally in their own time. And when that happens, the bond is more genuine, more solid, and more fulfilling. Letting go of the need to force yourself into people's lives also frees you from the burden of rejection. Often we take rejection personally, thinking that it is a reflection of our worth. But the reality is that people's choices are not a judgment of who you are. They are simply a reflection of where they are in their own life, their own journey. Just because someone doesn't want to engage with you or accept you doesn't diminish your value in any way. Rejection is simply a redirection. It's an opportunity to free yourself from a relationship or situation that may not be in your best interest, so that you can make room for what is. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you also start to live with greater authenticity. You no longer have to try to fit into roles or expectations that are not true to who you are. Instead, you become more comfortable with standing firm in your own identity, and this attracts people who are aligned with your true self. You stop trying to be what others want you to be, and instead embrace who you are. This allows for deeper, more authentic connections to flourish. People who are drawn to you for who you truly are will offer you the love, respect, and appreciation that you deserve. These relationships will be built on the foundation of mutual understanding and respect, rather than the insecurity of forcing yourself into someone else's life. In the end, when you stop forcing yourself on people, you create space for what is meant to be in your life. You stop chasing after fleeting connections and open yourself up to the relationships that truly matter, the ones that have the potential to bring joy, growth, and lasting fulfillment. By respecting the natural flow of life and allowing people to come to you on their own terms, you give yourself the gift of peace, and you invite authentic, meaningful connections to enter your life. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you create an environment of mutual respect. Respect is not something that can be demanded or coerced. It is something that must be earned and freely given. This is why it's so important to stop trying to force yourself into others' lives. When you force yourself on someone, you violate the natural flow of respect in a relationship. The respect you seek from others is not built on pressure or manipulation, but on genuine understanding, appreciation, and mutual value. In every relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, respect must be cultivated over time. It cannot be rushed or forced. Forcing yourself into someone's life not only disrespects their boundaries, but also undermines your own worth. You may find yourself constantly chasing after others' approval or validation, and in doing so, you fail to recognize your own inherent value. When you approach relationships with the mindset of "I must be in this person's life," you are forgetting that your presence should be a choice, not an obligation. Respecting others means understanding that their time, energy, and attention are valuable, just as yours are. You must allow them the space to decide how and when they want to engage with you. When you force yourself into their lives, you infringe upon that space and diminish the level of respect that could exist between you. Instead of trying to force yourself into someone's life, allow the relationship to grow organically. This doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. Rather, it means letting the natural rhythm of connection unfold. You don't have to manipulate or control the relationship. Just show up authentically, invest in the connection, and let the other person choose to be a part of it. Relationships that grow naturally have a stronger foundation because they are rooted in mutual interest and respect. Each person is making the choice to be involved based on shared values, experiences, and appreciation, not because one person is pushing their way in. Respect in relationships also means recognizing that every individual has their own pace. Everyone has their own boundaries, comfort zones, and needs. When you force yourself on someone, you disregard those boundaries, assuming that they should operate on your terms. This leads to imbalance in the relationship, where one person is giving more than they are receiving, or one person is being made to feel uncomfortable, neglected, or trapped. But when respect is present, both individuals feel heard, valued, and seen. Each person can express their needs and desires freely without fear of being manipulated or coerced. Respect is built on listening, really listening, and allowing the other person the space to express themselves in their own time and manner. Moreover, respect nurtures the potential for deeper connection. When you stop trying to force your presence on others, you free yourself from the cycle of desperation and neediness. Instead of focusing on, how can I make this person accept me, you shift your attention to the qualities that make you a person of value. Your integrity, kindness, authenticity, and ability to give without expectation. You attract people who respect you because of the energy you exude when you are comfortable in your own skin and are not seeking validation. You show that you value yourself, and in doing so, you teach others to value you as well. Respect also allows for healthy detachment. You can love someone and respect them enough to understand that they may not be able to give you what you want, or they may not be ready for the kind of relationship you seek. Respect means not forcing your desires onto them and recognizing that their choices, however painful they might be for you, are a reflection of where they are in their own journey. This understanding creates emotional freedom. It allows you to detach with love, to let go gracefully, and to accept that sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is to let people walk their own path, even if it means parting ways. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you also give them the opportunity to show their respect for you in their own way. When you allow someone the freedom to choose their level of involvement in your life, you are demonstrating trust. You trust that if they truly value you, they will make the effort to show it. You are no longer playing the role of someone who is trying to prove their worth or gain acceptance. Instead, you're standing in your truth, confident that those who truly appreciate you will find their way into your life. This kind of trust in the process fosters a sense of peace and patience, knowing that you don't have to chase after respect. It will come naturally from those who recognize your worth. Additionally, forcing yourself into relationships where you are not truly respected can cause emotional harm over time. It can lead to feelings of being undervalued, misunderstood, or unimportant. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you avoid these painful outcomes. You protect your emotional well-being by respecting yourself enough to walk away from relationships that are not serving you. This is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is a sign of strength and self-awareness. You are demonstrating that you understand your own value and will not settle for anything less than genuine respect. Finally, true respect is reciprocal. It is not a one-sided affair where one person is constantly giving and the other is always taking. Respect must flow both ways for a relationship to thrive. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you allow the respect in the relationship to be mutual. You create an environment where both people feel equally valued, heard, and understood. In this space, love, trust, and understanding can flourish, and both individuals can grow together in a healthy, balanced way. When you stop forcing yourself on people, you open up the possibility for richer, more meaningful relationships. These relationships are grounded in respect for yourself and respect for the other person's boundaries, needs, and choices. You stop looking for approval and instead you cultivate relationships that are based on a deep, authentic connection. And in these connections, the respect that both parties bring to the table forms a bond that is unshakable and lasting. This is the kind of relationship that allows both individuals to thrive. It's a partnership that uplifts, strengthens, and empowers both people to be their best selves, without the pressure to force anything into being. Respect becomes the foundation of everything that grows from there. In conclusion, when you stop forcing yourself on people, you unlock a powerful transformation within yourself and in your relationships. It begins with understanding your intrinsic value and recognizing that you don't need to seek approval, validation, or acceptance from others to feel worthy. The key is to live authentically, respect the boundaries of others, and allow relationships to unfold naturally. By doing this, you create space for mutual respect, genuine connections, and a healthier, more fulfilling life. You see, trying to force yourself into someone's life not only disrespects their boundaries, but also undermines your own sense of worth. It leads to shallow relationships built on obligation rather than genuine love and connection. But when you stop forcing, when you step back and let people come to you, when you value yourself enough to know you don't need to chase anyone, you invite the right people into your life. These relationships are rooted in understanding, respect, and shared values, leading to deeper, more meaningful connections. So, let go of the need to prove yourself, the need to force your way into situations where you're not wanted, and the belief that your value is dependent on others' acceptance. The right people will come into your life when the time is right, and those who are meant to be there will appreciate you for who you truly are. Embrace the power of patience, let go of desperation, and trust that the relationships that are meant to be will happen without force. By doing so, you'll cultivate a life filled with love, respect, and deep, authentic connections. And remember, your value is not defined by others' perceptions of you. It is defined by the strength, integrity, and authenticity you bring into the world. Keep standing tall, keep being true to yourself, and watch as the right relationships begin to flourish around you.